It will stop when we make it stop. That's what it is when it'll stop. It's not going to go away on its own. It's not going to go away because we're being nice to these people. The truth is, and it's time to be telling some truths. We're getting very close to the caucus now. Corporate greed is destroying the middle class, destroying American jobs, and it is stealing your children's future. Just as sure as I'm standing here. And we have to change it. And anybody who thinks that's going to happen on its own, or that we can just nice these people to death, is living in Never Never Land. We have an epic fight in front of us. We do. Here's what I believe. First of all, I'm proud of the fact that in the time I've been in public life, I have never taken a dime from a Washington lobbyist or a special interest tax. But there's a reason for that. Because I don't believe you can take those people's money and sit at a table and make a deal with them and that anything will change. I don't. If that worked, we'd have universal health care today. If that worked, we'd be attacking global warming. If that worked, we wouldn't have a trade policy that's focused on the profits of big companies instead of middle-class working Americans. It does not work. Here's the other thing. I hear other people say, well, you know, if we just sit at the table with the drug companies, the oil companies, the insurance companies, we sit at a table and negotiate with them, give the stakeholders. A 17-year-old girl needed a liver transplant. She needed it. She had health care coverage with one of the biggest insurance companies in America. But they said they wouldn't pay for her liver transplant operation. Her doctors intervened on her behalf. Her nurses intervened on her behalf. Still no response. Finally, the American people intervened. People started literally picketing and protesting in front of their offices. And after a period of time, the insurance company capitulated. They finally told the parents and the family, notified them, that they'd pay for the operation for the liver transplant. And then just a few hours later, the 17-year-old girl died because it was too late. And people say to me that what I'm supposed to do as your president is to sit at a table and negotiate with those people. Let me say this very clearly. Never. It will never happen when I'm president. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand up for you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fight for you. And anybody who thinks this fight is not going to happen is living in Never Never Land. We have had this happen before in American history. This is not the first time. We've had great American presidents who had some gumption and backbone and fight in them that were able to change this country. Teddy Roosevelt. Remember Teddy Roosevelt took on the trusts, busted them, broke up the monopolies, all on behalf of the American people. That was a guy that had a little backbone and guts. And then Franklin Roosevelt came along. A transformational president. Transformational. Changed this country forever. One of the great American presidents, if not the greatest American president. Here's what everybody's forgotten about Franklin Roosevelt. He was vilified by big corporate America. They hated this guy. And he used to say that he welcomed their hatred. Because what it meant is he was doing what was right. It meant he was standing up for the people that he was representing, instead of making deals with these people. And then along came Harry Truman, right? Harry Truman. You know, I love the Harry Truman story where somebody said to Harry Truman, well, you're giving them hell, Harry. And he said, nope, just telling the truth and it feels like hell. Right? Well, it's time for us to tell a little truth. And the truth is that we have a responsibility to our children, to our grandchildren. And sometimes people say to me, especially in the last week or two, they say, this feels like it's personal to you. And it is very personal to me. I mean very personal. Nobody has to explain to me what my parents and grandparents did for me. I watched my grandmother take care of me and go work her shift in the mill and come home. She had a 5th or 6th grade education. She came from a family of sharecroppers. She would have done anything to help me. Anything. I watched my father get up and go into that mill day after day after day for 36 years. I have absolutely no intention of standing quietly by and letting all their work and sacrifice go for nothing. They passed that torch to us. My parents and grandparents passed that torch to me. Your parents passed it to you. All of their work and sacrifice was so that you could have a better life and you could make certain that your children and your grandchildren had a better life. And I have absolutely no intention of allowing corporate greed to steal that promise from our children and from our grandchildren. And that's what this battle is about. And there are other reasons this is personal to me. Some of you have heard me talk about a man named James Lowe, who I met a few months ago. 51 years old. James Lowe was born with a cleft palate, which meant he couldn't speak. Simple operation would have fixed it. But he had no health care coverage. So he lived for 50 years until finally somebody voluntarily fixed it for him. 50 years not able to speak. In America, not able to speak. And he's so unassuming, so humble, reminded me of the people that I grew up with, my own grandparents. But I listened to that story, and I thought to myself, how long are we going to let drug companies and insurance companies run this country? You know, America doesn't belong to them. America belongs to us. James Lowe finally got his voice back. Isn't it about time that you get your voice back? Isn't that what this election is about? Because the truth is, the founding fathers did not say the health insurance companies and the drug companies, they're going to decide who gets health care in America. The oil companies, the gas companies, they're going to decide whether we protect our environment. The biggest multinational corporations, they're in control of who pays taxes and how much taxes they pay. They know. Instead, what they said is the power, the sovereign power in this democracy rests with you. It rests with the people. And we can do something about this. We can rise up together with the right kind of strength and leadership, and we can do something about this together. We can. But we have a battle in front of us. Not with politicians. The last thing in the world I'm interested in is fighting with a bunch of politicians. And it is my responsibility as president to unite America behind this cause. Not divide America, unite America. But together, we have to drive through this corporate power and corporate greed that's doing so much damage to the middle class and jobs in this country. All of us are going to have to do that together. It will not take care of itself. And what I would say to you about this is, you better send somebody, when you go to the caucus Thursday night, you better send somebody into this arena, into the campaign and into the presidency, who's got what it takes in here for this fight. Somebody that's got a little guts, a little determination, and has got to fight in them. Because if they don't, nothing will change.